Lenin once said, "The duty of youth is to fight corruption." But is that all we can do? What is our place in society, and what should it be? Well, first, I'd like to clarify that when I talk about a place in society, I'm strictly addressing the matter of having a meaningful opinion. In fact, I believe that a structured and coherent opinion always leads to social action, and can even achieve great proportions. Well, I must, however, emphasize the structured and coherent part. In fact, the right to have an opinion, like any other right, carries with it a great deal of responsibilities too. And if we are to claim this right, we must also take the equivalent responsibilities. And here comes the very first reasons why adults often refuse to take teenagers' opinions serious. Because we have fewer commitments, adults assume we won't be able to take the responsibilities that an opinion calls for. And unfortunately, many teenagers are unwilling or incapable to prove adults wrong, which leads to a more generalized phenomenon of teenagers' non-acceptance. That cannot and should not happen. That's why I'm here, to prove you both teenagers and adults that teenagers' opinion matters and it should have a bigger place in society. Well, the very first reason why I think teenagers' opinion matters is because of the simple fact that everything is subjective. This means that teenagers will see things from a different perspective than adults. We'll see different problems, and we'll even see different ways to solve those problems. And this especially concerns our generation, since there has been a generational gap increased by advances in technology and even society. I'm not talking about the old cliche, teach your grandmas how to use Facebook. I'm talking about, for instance, showing elderly how to be more tolerant. Like Franz Kafka said, the beauty of youth, like Franz Kafka said, youth is happy because of its capacity to see beauty. And we must keep showing adults how to keep seeing beauty so they can keep being happy. Also, I believe that teenagers' opinion really is important, and a place of teenagers in society must be of most importance because we are the future. And if we want to stop being just the future, to become the present one day, we must live the real life with the real problems, the grown-ups world. Like babies that learn how to walk, to talk, and to behave by interacting with adults, we must also learn how to face real-life problems in the real-life world. Like Aristotle said, good habits from the youth make all the difference. And this good habit of forming your opinion is one you must cultivate since you're a teenager. To do this, there are three main things I think you must all do. The very first is very simple, and it's just reading. Reading is the easiest way to know about already uncovered facts. Just think about it. You can take your phone, and in 5 seconds, you can find out about something that people have spent years and decades of their lives looking for. You must read to have basis for your opinion. You don't get to have an opinion that doesn't have any basis, any factual basis. Besides, when you read, you also get to see others' opinions about more controversial matters, which means you can build your own from different and even contradictory opinions. The second thing I think we should all do is writing and sharing. Because when you write something, you are obliged to see what you really think about this matter, especially when it comes to more controversial matters, once again. Because if you write something, you have to put a piece of yourself on a paper. You have to know what you really think about that. And once you've shared it with someone, you feel that your opinion is recognized. You feel that your opinion matters, and it certainly does. So it's important for all of us to write and to share. The last thing I should ask you to do is not to undermine not to undermine adults' experience. In fact, just because adults don't always give us the importance we need, that doesn't mean we mustn't give them the importance that their experience has. I think that if we are to avoid doing great mistakes, we must learn from the ones that were done in the past. That's why history, with a capital H, is of most importance. If we want to avoid those problems, learn from the ones done in the past. Adults have lived longer than us. They have lived through the same problems that we now have. And if we're not able to see those problems and to ask adults to help us, we won't be able to avoid doing these great mistakes. Well, because of all of this, some friends and I created a project called Youth Thoughts. Youth Thoughts mainly relies on a website, and it also has a Facebook page. Its goal is to promote teenagers' opinion so they can feel that their opinion matters, that someone is reading, that someone is listening to them. What we do is publish texts in our website, texts that can come from anyone that would like to share them with us. We do have writers of our team, but the vast majority of texts come from abroad, come from other people that don't necessarily know us or our project. We also propose a month's theme, so people can have something more concrete to write about, but many teenagers write just about something they saw, something they felt, something they just want to share with us. Remember what I just said about adults' experience? Well, we try to take it, we try to give it a lot of value too at Youth Thoughts, as we have an Old Thoughts section. This section, yes, this section has a lot of texts from famous people, from people that have recognition in our society, and from people that would like to give something to teenagers, from people that would like to share a bit of their experience, a bit of their wisdom with teenagers, so teenagers can take a real place in society. This is what Youth Thoughts is, but I'd like to talk about two good things Youth Thought brought to me, and to a lot of people. The very first is a text from a friend of mine called João. João wrote about an accident he had. He had a very serious accident, a buggy accident. There was a lot of pain, a lot of suffering, a lot of tears, a lot of broken bones. But he chose not to talk about those things. He didn't want to be the victim. He chose to talk about everything that he learned, about seeing good things in difficult and even dramatic situations. And the most important thing is he got to show this to almost 100,000 people that read his text, and in that moment, his opinion did matter. His opinion did make a difference. And that's what Youth Thoughts exists for. The second thing I'd like to talk to you about is what happened when we proposed freedom as our month's theme. Well, you'd expect that when we propose freedom as your month's theme, people would write about freedom of religion, freedom of speech, or even just basic human rights freedom. But we didn't get any text about those kinds of freedom, because most teenagers aren't yet concerned about those. The vast majority talks about the lack of freedom they felt in a society that imposes such a great deal of rules, the lack of freedom they felt in the internet, in social network. So it truly proves that teenagers see things from a different perspective, that teenagers see different things, different problems, and different ways to face them. I can only conclude that instead of trying to get a place in society by following social pressures and rules, we must try to earn our place by making a difference. We're never going to change the world, but we might inspire someone or change someone's mind, like João did. Remember, every social action starts with an idea or a structured perspective. It's our turn now. Thank you.